Welcome, everybody, to Who's Your Band. I am Jeffrey Paul. I am joined by Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
Did you just have an embolism or something? What was that?
I'm having fun.
That's fun?
Yes, that's how I have fun.
Oh, this is going to be a very long episode.
What do you want me to do? I mean, come on, man. It's very.
How was your weekend? Did you have good shows this weekend? Where were you, Jeffrey?
I was in Pittsburgh this weekend. Yeah, I mean, and I don't fly if I don't have to, so I drive. So the driving is rough. I didn't even do any of the driving, but still, man, just sitting in the car, doing like that 6-7 hour drive is brutal. Then I get home really super late. But I gotta say, man, the show was packed, did well, sold some T-shirts, so I'm not complaining. What about you?
It's a long drive to be in a car, Rich Carucci. I'm going to tell you that right now.
It's a long time to be in a car with anybody.
That's true, but that's asking a lot.
Yeah. Listen, I have everything gets on my nerves as I'm getting older. You pick up on all the little habits and noises and fucking sounds and shit, and it's
breathing and
breathing.
I get it.
The gum chewing, and it's just, but the thing is, that's where the memories come from, and that's what being a road comic really is.
Yeah, that's bullshit. It's about the money. It's not about sitting in the car with your dumb friends for 6 hours. No, it's not. That's fun for about 22 minutes, and then you're like, oh fuck, I got 6 more hours of this shit to go.
Well, this is where it becomes fun and it becomes tolerable. When you go up there and you say, you know what, you decide you can get a budget, or you do a door deal, and you bet on yourself and you do the door deal, and the door deal exceeds what you were hoping was going to be good.
That's always true. That is always true. Yes,
and
I'll give you that much. Well, I'm proud of you. That was a good weekend. Sounds like.
And I see, like, when people come over to Laughing Stock and they do a door deal, like we had this kid there, not this weekend, last weekend, Alan Massenberg, and he took a door deal, and it was the right thing because he probably wound up getting paid double than he normally would.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean,
great.
I think what happens is it puts a little responsibility on the hands, or in the hands of the comics, and the comics do a little extra promotion. Get a little bit of a fan base out, and then the place wants to do well too, so they'll put in some promotion. And there's no pressure, and it just you're just able to work, I think, a little bit more authentically and be able to kind of get a crowd out. And we were very lucky. We had a good weekend.
It sounds like a great weekend to me, buddy.
Yeah, and next weekend, I mean, this was as of maybe a week and change ago. I'm about 18 tickets shy of selling out the End of the Road Theater down in Cape May.
Look at you.
For next weekend.
Look at you, my big boy, all growing up.
I was growing up. I'm growing up. What's that from?
I have no idea.
It's, what's his name? What's the guy? Vince Vaughn.
I don't like that shit.
Did you ever see, did you ever see Swingers?
Yeah, like the Wedding Crashers, that shit. I'm not a fan of that.
That bothers you, doesn't it?
It's that stupid. Oh, I'm just this dumb guy, man. So you gotta let me just do what I gotta do because I do dumb guy things. Shut up.
Is it dumb guy stuff? I think he's trying to be like smooth
garbage, man. Ugh,
just
stupid.
Smooth? All right, we know it's smooth. Let's get into today's topic a little bit.
Smooth bass lines.
Yeah, man. The thing is, like, we've been year 5 of the show. We've talked about lead singers, female lead singers. We've talked about, I think we did guitar players. We may have even done favorite drummers. We never got around to talking about bass players. And listen, when you're a musician, when you talk about the rhythm of a band, And the people we have on this list, I think, really, I mean, the contribution they make to that band, it always seems like the bass player is the one that's left out. In some of these cases, the bass player is the main attraction of the band.
Yeah, I think the bass players get a bad rap too because people don't realize just how an integral of a part of the whole sound of a band is that bass line. And it's a lot of people can fake being a good bass player because people go, oh, it's only 4 strings instead of 6. Yeah, it's a lot harder. I can sing and play guitar. It was a very, very, very hard for me to sing and play bass at the same time.
Are there more frets on a bass guitar?
No, they're just a little bigger if it's a bass usually, but no, it's it's just very strange. It's very different, but it's so important to the wholeness of a band too. And for me though, my problem with doing one of these lists this time is that I'm not super deep on bass players, and I really had to go to the well. And really, most of this is just hard rock and metal and rock. I didn't go too far into pop bass players or all these great country sessions players that I can probably rattle off. But my list was a little more generic and a little more rock, I think.
Yeah, I gotta say, I thought this was harder, a lot harder than I thought to narrow it down to 5. And there are guys who I was like, I don't want to get too deep because I think then people are gonna have no idea what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'll give you a person who I left off the list was Nick Biggs. And Nick, you know him because you've ever heard of the band Casual Goo Goo?
Yeah.
Okay, they had a big hit called Too Shy. And that bass riff is considered one of the hardest bass riffs to play. And I went to a concert, not this summer, but last summer. And he's actually in Howard Jones' band now. And he's billed as a guest star because he is that like revered as a bass player. And in Howard Jones' set, they do Too Shy, and he plays that bass riff, and it's a little extended version of it. And if you go down the wormhole of that, if you go on YouTube, just because bass players talking about and trying to play the opening riff of Too Shy, you think it's a keyboard that's making all the sounds. And it's all bass, and it's so clean, and it's so good. It's the way he uses his thumb. I went down, and I think that's what kind of inspired me to want to do this episode. So,
okay.
But I didn't put him on the list. But,
I have 7 on my list, and I don't have it ranked in any way, shape, or form.
That's cool.
Just
so let me start us off, and then we'll get into this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So number 5 for me, I think is pretty obvious. I think you knew where I was going to go with this. I'm going to go with Steve Harris.
I have him on my list.
Iron Maiden. I figured as such. His style was known as the gallop. If you listen to a lot of Maiden songs, things like "Rime of the Ancient Mariner" or "Fear of the Dark" or even "Hallowed Be Thy Name," they all have that kind of and like with Flight of Icarus, they all have like that signature sound. It's always strong. It's always clean with him. Songs like Aces High, the bass is kind of like, at the beginning, the lead instrument, and then they go into they'll give the guitar players their due. And that's why like a typical Iron Maiden song is anywhere from 6-7 minutes to like 13 minutes because, everyone gets a chance to shine. But for me, man, I can listen to Maiden all day. That's why they're my top 3 bands of all time. But I'm going to go with Steve Harris of Maiden as my number 5.
So I'm going to agree with Steve Harris and putting him on your list. I'm not going to go top 5. I want you to do it that way. I'm just going to mention the people that I brought on the list here. And that while I did have Steve Harris for the exact same reasons you had him on there, I picked somebody else because of his tone. Now, I think that, guitar players, you could tell right away when you're listening to Eddie Van Halen. You could tell when you're listening to Slash. There's certain guitar players when you know their tone right away. This is one of the few bass players I think that can get away with that and may not be the most talented bass player, I would say, but I'm still putting him on this list. I'm putting Lemmy. I'm putting Lemmy from Motorhead on this list.
Wow.
Because you think about it, He's playing the same kind of guitar, like same kind of bass through guitar effects pedals and through a guitar amp setup. He's not playing it through bass amps. So, which is why he's getting that really heavy distortion signature sound that he constantly has. So when you think of like hard rock and metal bass players, I think a lot of people will actually go out and say that Lemmy is one of their biggest influences as well.
That one I did not see come. That's a good one. All right. So for me, number 4, I think you would have thought he's going to be on my list, but I thought you would have thought I would have put him higher. But Geddy Lee, Rush, is on my number 4. And listen, he's inspired guys like Cliff Burton from Metallica, Steve Harris, who we just talked about, Les Claypool. You hear in Primus, you hear a lot of Rush in their songs. But he was trying to be Jack Bruce, from Cream, great 60s, 70s rock star, Jack Bruce. A lot of people just know him from his voice, but he was an incredible bass player as well. In a group like Rush, okay, and some songs in particular, the bass is the lead instrument, like Tom Sawyer. I mean, there's the guitar lead in it, but the lead instrument is Geddy Lee on the bass. In a song like YYZ, the same thing, and he can play melodically, and he can play fast, and he can play hard, and he's you can tell. I love the way Rush kind of like changes their sound from like the 70s and like 2112, which is probably in my top 10 albums of all time, to what they wound up sounding like in the 90s with songs, an album from like Roll the Bones. But Geddy Lee's bass playing always kind of stayed consistent. He did 90s. They did wind up going a little bit more keyboard heavy, but even something like Subdivisions from the 90s had a good tone to it. So yeah, I'm trying to sound smart here, but I'm not.
I know you are. It's fucking, and I'm letting you die a slow, painful death while you're doing it too. Because I'm realizing how much fucking fun it is to watch you die. It was great.
The thing, I could just come out and just say, you know what? I like him. I fucking love Geddy Lee.
I had to go down a wormhole.
Sounds. I wish I can play bass. That way it can be as cool as Geddy Lee. But yeah, that's really what it comes down to. I'm a jerk.
I picked a weird one. I mean, I also had Geddy as and I hate Rush more than anybody. I really can't stand them.
I don't understand that. How is that possible?
I just despise them. I always have since I was a little kid. But they, I can't deny how amazing musicians they are. I can't do that. It's just not my cup of tea.
There's no songs by Rush that you like.
No. Not at all.
Opening of Tom Sawyer doesn't get you like you wouldn't want to fight somebody.
It sounds like he's singing through fucking two straws. I can't. Nah, it's not my deal. I think this guy is a very underrated bass player, and I think this is another one that's going to surprise you. Which is going to come out of left field. I picked Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam. I think he's a great solid. What's that?
Why does he stand out?
Why does he stand out? I think that the bass is probably the biggest instrument on that first record, where people think that's like one of the greatest number one records of all time. That there's bass lines on that record, even just from Even Flow at the very end, Alive at the very end.
Great song.
Song after song, the bass pops out on that, and I think that even his work with Temple of a Dog stood out a little bit too. He played at Mad Season as well. So there's a ton of stuff. This guy has some amazing, some of the most amazing music from the 90s comes from this guy's bottom end.
I think Mad Season and Temple Dog, I think it's so overrated, that stuff.
Really?
I hate it. It's boring.
Temple of the Dog's pretty good. I mean, again, it's one record. Yeah, it's okay, but like I think if you really take a listen to Mother Love Bone's first record, well, the album that Pearl Jam came from, that really is a record that stands out, and I think that would have
really
I think a lot of
listening.
things would have been different in music had that band stayed together instead of Pearl Jam.
And then there wouldn't be Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder fucking virtue signaling every 2 seconds. But
that's true too.
But I do love the first couple of Pearl Jam albums. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Oh yeah.
All right.
All right. Who you got? Number three.
Probably from my second favorite, or I can't say second favorite. Either my first or second. I love these. I love Maiden, second favorite, or favorite, depending on what mood I'm in. I love Sabbath, Geezer Butler. I think he was like one of the first to use pedals, like a wah-wah pedal, as a bass player. He knew who he really influenced and really loves Geezer Butler was former guest, and people called him the Van Halen, the Eddie Van Halen of the bass. Billy Sheehan loved Geezer Butler. We'll talk about him like he's dead. He's 78 years old, but he's still going. He's going to be playing in July. But songs like NIB, Heaven and Hell, that whole boom, 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 boom. I mean, it sounds simple, but he keeps it sustained, and it's original. And it was such a good bass line. It's memorable, man. I mean, how many people have come up with these great, memorable bass lines? And the funny thing about Geezer Butler, the reason why he winds up playing the bass is because he was poor growing up. He had a guitar, but 2 strings were broken, and he couldn't afford a 6-string guitar, so he played 4 strings. And turns out to be not only an amazing bass player, but a lot of people don't know he's like he's a great lyricist in Sabbath. Like songs like Black Sabbath, it's really the account of his dream of this angel in dark that was come to see me. He really did a great job pointing that. I love Sabbath. I love Geezer, but that's another band, man. Like every member was so cool and so original. But yeah, Geezer Butler, plays those heavy strings just like Iommi does, and it created like an original sound. So Geezer Butler for me, number 3.
It's not a bad pick. And my rounding out my top 3 is a guy you just mentioned. Actually, we had him on the show a long time ago. Was Billy Sheehan. And I don't go back as far as the Talis stuff, but I can remember watching him on the David Lee Roth solo records, and then I remember him going back into Mr. Big. And then, I was a huge, huge, huge fan, 10 years ago, the Winery Dogs with him and Richie Kotzen and Mike Portnoy. And that's kind of when we had him on the show during lockdown. But just his bass playing on those records alone is just completely on another level. That man does things with a bass that I've never seen anybody do before, especially live. When you watch him, he's one of the epitomes of when you see somebody, you hear them say like you're playing from your soul, or like your hands are like an extension of your soul. He's the kind of person that you think about when you see him play, when you hear that expression. There's nothing stopping him from his fingers all the way through from his soul right there. He's just an off the charts live bass player. And
I like
so underrated too, I think.
The problem with Billy Sheehan not being on this list, I mean, he was a real tough omission for me. But when you bring up Mr. Big, everyone remembers that one song, "To Be With You." Yeah. And that was that. It's kind of like they got pigeonholed the same way Extreme did, where the slowest song, this ballady type of song, defined them. But the rest of that catalog was so much better, and it was just so different. And I feel that way about Mr. Big. If you're ever driving in your car and you're just kind of like, going through like the stations on Sirius, and get like the hair metal and Octane, and like all like the heavy rock stations. And so once in a while, a song will come on, and I'll go, "Oh man, that was really good." And I look down, see who it was, and it's like Mr. Big. And
Green Tinted 60s Mind. Did you ever hear that song?
Which one?
Green Tinted 60s Mind.
No. Good.
That is just one of those. That's one of those songs that could have been written in 1991, like it was, or 81, or 71, or 61. It's a perfect like rock. It sounds a lot like a Beach Boys influence on that song.
Oh, I'm gonna definitely check that out. But yeah, man, I like Mr. Big. Yeah, so that's a good pick for you, man. Number 3, Billy Sheehan. All right, number 2 for me is a band that you hate, but I gotta say, Sean, you gotta say this guy is undeniable. Chris Squire from Yes. As I get old, I've always liked Yes, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to love this band. He does something interesting that the bass players that we spoke about don't do. He plays not only with his fingers, but he also plays with a pick. He, and his fingertips, and he uses distortion and great tone and pickups. And just listen to a song like "Heart of the Sunrise." Heart of the Sunrise and Tempest Fugit. But Heart of the Sunrise, when it gets into that whole like that jam part, that bum 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 bum, it is the timing, the sustain on it. It's so fucking good, man. It's a song that gets me pumped. I love Heart of the Sunrise, and I think that song alone. But then if you go to like other Yes albums, I guess what people would have called like the new Yes albums, even though it's not, it's 40 years old. But when you're looking like Into the Lens and I'm a Camera, the bass upon that in the jam interlude of the song, and these songs go on for about 13 minutes, but they're really, really good. And I think the heart and soul of it is Chris Squire. So for me, Chris Squire, number 2.
Yeah, mine would be somebody who I think, had he stayed alive a lot longer, would easily be number 1 on a million people's charts. I'm going with Cliff Burton. I think Cliff changed the way that metal bass playing was played. I think it was so much focus on the guitar players for so long. And I think when Cliff came along, he actually went into the forefront and said, hey, guess what? The bass can be the lead in this fucking band. And just listen to some of the just unreal bass lines, just For Whom the Bell Tolls alone. That puts him in the Hall of Fame. Just that bass line and that song alone puts him in there. But, we only had him for I think 3 records. And to this day, I mean, Trujillo has been in the band as the longest bass player by far, even more than Jason Newsted or anybody else. But
Newsted had it tough. He had to fill Cliff's shoes, and that was really hard.
Newsted never had a chance.
Yes,
and Cliff was one of those people that people only realized how great he truly was as every year went by that he was gone. And so that's another reason why. But man, let me tell you, I would have loved to have seen the course of Metallica had he not died. I don't know if it'd be the same course,
Would he come out with an album like Saint Vincent?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if there'd be as many stinkers as there were in the late 90s.
Now, for the number ones, unless you put this guy on your list, I can see Adam, our producer, picking this guy.
Okay.
Can I throw the guy's name out? Can I throw the name out, Sean?
One more time?
Can I throw the name out that I think Adam would put on the list?
Yes, okay. You froze. I'm sorry.
Okay. Adam would throw out. Adam, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Adam, tell me you wouldn't say number 1 in your list or in your top 3. You'd be like, Flea.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that up there at least.
I had a feeling too. I'm not gonna lie, Jeff.
Yeah. I think he's so overrated, man, because he's animated. I'm not a big Flea fan. He is a good bass player. I'm not gonna. Man.
He's a very good bass player. He's a very, very talented bass player.
Yeah, he is.
So who are you going for number 1 though?
He just finds him so annoying. I think number 1 is a slam dunk. I think you gotta go John Entwistle from The Who. The only one on this list I think with any type of formal music training. His sound is full. He remember he had the nickname as the Quiet Man, but he would just kind of stand there while Townsend and Daltrey took the spotlight, but this guy was just stood there, played solid, was cool. He was a lot like Hendrix in terms of how experimental he was, in the 60s, using like amplified feedback. I think work that really stands out. They did a couple of like rock operas, and the big one is Tommy. But for me, I love Quadrophenia better, and songs like 515, Punk Meets the Godfather. Listen to the bass work on that. There's a reason why these songs don't really get covered, because they're really hard to play right. Okay.
I actually saw Quadrophenia live at Barclays Center. I'd say at least 7-8 years ago.
I saw
unbelievable experience.
I saw Quadrophenia live it had to be the 90s. And this was pretty interesting. They were doing like the whole album. And what was that guy? Gary Glitter. Gary Glitter came out and sang a couple of songs.
That's the guy you used to share the files with, right?
You say again?
That's the guy that you used to share the files with, right? Gary Glitter?
Gary Glitter was the guy who kind of got himself jammed up a little bit. I think he was having sex with a minor.
Yeah, it was file sharing, Jeff. That's where the joke was going, Jeffrey.
Oh! You were making a joke. Okay. No, that was good, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, can I go to my number one, please? Because you've already disgusted me. You've already disgusted me for the night, and I'm done with you.
No, that's Sean. Don't get angry. That was funny.
Yeah. So my number one is somebody that if I gave you 10 picks, you would never pick this as my number one pick.
Right, give me 3 picks. I think I'm going to get it.
Go ahead. Give me 3 picks and Will tell you if it's my number one.
Okay. Now, you could go someone obscure, like someone from Gaslight Anthem. If it is, no. I will drive over there and I will rip the rest of your hair out.
I would not do that. Right.
Okay, because you have done stuff like that in the past. But so I'm thinking it's probably someone we all know, but think that Sean wouldn't go for this guy. So I'm going to go. I think you're going to say Paul McCartney.
No, I thought about putting him on the list, but no.
Okay, I'm going to take another guess. So there's 2 guys I was thinking that you would go with. So McCartney was one. But Gene Simmons.
Not even close.
Okay, so not Gene Simmons. I got one more pick. All right, a band that I don't think you would pick. A band that I don't think you bring up a lot here, but I think you know music, and I think you appreciate good music. And I think Adam, I think you would go with this guy as well. I'm going to go Adam Clayton from U2.
No.
All right, then
you are wrong. You are correct in one way. It is a band that I do not particularly like a lot. I like a couple songs. I have friends who go extremely deep with this band. And they do have a little bit of a cult following, which I don't understand. But I am going with Les Claypool from Primus.
I brought him up before, too. Yeah. Oh, he's great.
Going with Les Claypool, I cannot deny this man's talent. I have watched people learn how to play songs like Jerry Was a Race Car Driver and Tommy the Cat. And I've watched them learn how to play these bass lines.
Big Brown Beaver is another great bass.
Big Brown Beaver. I mean, some of the stuff that it makes my head hurt just watching them learn how to play these songs, and he does it so flawlessly. The fact that he had auditioned for Metallica and they told him that he was too good for Metallica, for me, he's and he is no question that when I said before about having that sound, that signature sound, Lemmy's there, but nobody sounds like him.
Did he have a special bass? Because I think it was Squire would play with no frets. Like he
can play a fretless bass, but he plays a bunch of things. He has like 12-string basses and 8-string basses. Yeah. He's weird like that.
Like the bottom of it looks like a box. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I think a couple of other guys are honorable mention.
I mean, as far as 80s metal bands go, as far as bass players go, I think Bobby Dahl is a pretty goddamn good bass player.
From Poison?
I think from Poison. I think Rick Savage from Def Leppard, really good bass player. I think that Gunnar Nelson from the Nelson Twins, pretty good bass player from the 90s as well.
He's a good bass player, Gunnar Nelson.
I'm really fucking stretching, Jeff. I can't think of any more bass players from the 90s.
How about Adam? How is Chris Novoselic?
I was just about to say that too. I was trying to think of bass players from the 90s. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the really good Nirvana bass lines.
You know who's a great bass player? Kazim Sultan, who we've been trying to get on this show. He plays for Todd Rundgren, but he's a great studio musician, played for everybody. Played on the Meatloaf records, where makes sense because Rundgren helped produce those records as well. So he's another real good one. You know who's a good bass player that doesn't, he's just known more for his voice but can play bass was Peter Cetera.
Really, I didn't know that.
From Chicago. Oh yeah. If you listen to early Chicago, they're kind of like a jam jazz band. And
I did not know that.
Oh, he's playing great. Oh, amazing. Yeah. He's a bass player on 25 and 624.
Speaking of funky, we're going to I think one of the summer concerts is going to be George Clinton with Parliament Funkadelic with the special opening band of Living Color.
Oh wow, yeah.
I think that's going to be one of the go-to shows to see this summer on my end.
That's Doug Wimbush playing bass with that. And in Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins was with them for a little bit. So that's another guy that. Oh, and how about Verdell? What's his name? Verdell White from.
What about Rick James?
From Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah. What about Rick James? How great of a bass player was he?
Great bass line. Is he that guy?
He might be.
I don't know if he played the bass on that. That's really good. Another guy who's considered a great session musician. Tours with people. Just kind of he was Clapton's bass player for years. Nathan East. But
no idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like you really like. I just kind of knew who these guys were from my time working on the road with bands and working in for the label. And again, you would just see these names over and over again because they would play on everyone's record and they'd get paid on it. But again, real kind of underrated characters are the bass players.
I agree. And they're the strangest ones too. And as far as local bands go, always the hardest position to fill, by far.
Why is that?
I must have went through 6 of them. I swear to Christ.
Why?
I don't know. There's it's always been a curse. It's always been a curse. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, Gary Talent from Springsteen's band is a great bass player.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they're not flashy.
This was a good one though.
This was kind of interesting. Did you like this, Adam?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, yeah. Once again, nice. Thanks for the input, man. Now, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas because I'm just thinking, we have a couple in the can, so by the time this one's released, it should be getting close to Christmas.
Well, it is. Just so you know, I did this for a reason. It is St. Patrick's Day weekend. I am wearing my Dropkick Murphys shirt to timestamp when this is going to be released.
Anyone got plans for St. Patty's Day for tomorrow?
Work. Yes, work. That's what we do. We work.
What about you,
We don't
Adam?
take days off to go drink. And if you're Irish, you drink your Irish because it's a fucking Wednesday. That's why.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time that I took off to go to the to go to the city or so to just drink all day. But has to be.
You couldn't pay me to. If you told me I was going to get a day's work, right, a day's pay, and then double it, and all my expenses are paid. All I have to do is go into the city for the St. Patrick's Day parade. I would tell you there's no fucking way on earth I would ever do that.
Dude, I used to go every year.
You would, because you're that kind of guy. I'm not that dude.
From high school to like right before I got married, even a little bit after I got married, I would always go for St. Patrick's.
Watch this. You ready? Jeff, you go to San Gennaro too, don't you?
I used to, not anymore.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
That was like my cool date place.
Christ on a bike.
The cannoli eating contest.
No, I don't like that. Just walking around and like getting the food and just being part of the vibe. I thought it was a real New York thing to do. If I wanted to be like really impress a girl, know my go-to place was, Sean? Okay,
let's hear it.
I'll get in the car, drive up to Pennsylvania, and go to Bushkill Falls. and walk around and it gets worse, right? I would like. Weezer on their first album, on the last song was called Butterfly. And I would like pretend like I told the girl like I wrote a poem and I would recite those lyrics of Butterfly. And there was no way of checking. Didn't have cell. And these girls would think I was so deep and poetic and everything. And I was just a creep.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. It's not as bad as where I used to go, because I went to college at St. John's in Staten Island, but there was no real cool places around there because it was a commuter college. So anytime I would take a girl to the Wagner College parking lot, which was literally down the hill from St. John's, and it had this really
bridge.
That's where you could see the bridge. Yeah. So I'm romantic.
Yeah, the funny thing is the lion underbelly is like, you want to be romantic. I wanted to be deep, poetic guy. When I would do that sometimes, right? I would do this in clubs as well. I would do it with my friend Dean David. I would wear like a black mock turtleneck and black jeans because I would like sometimes because when I was in college, we had to read James Joyce, and I would always mention James Joyce. Okay. And and it was like complicated. I would talk about T.S. Eliot. I would go, in the wasteland, it was like, it was just all deep stuff. And these girls were like, holy shit, this guy is like a.
Do you understand how hard it is? Do you understand how hard it is to be your friend? Truly. Like, if you take all the characteristics of what a real friend is, you check every box on that list to a T, to a perfect friend. Now, however, on the flip side, everything you do fucking irritates me. So do you understand why I'm constantly torn with you?
You know what? I think it's more of a commentary on you than it is on me. I think you're like a very sensitive, like everything, like kind of like, you know who you are. You're Steve Martin in Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm definitely not the John Candy in that movie. I'm the big guy, but I'm not the John Candy in that situation. You're 100%
John Candy, but personality wise and all your little
I'm definitely more Neil Page. Yeah.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like you couldn't roll with the punches. Okay, like if me and you were sharing a hotel room and I trashed it the way Dell did the sink, which I think is one of the funniest scenes ever in a movie. Mm-hmm. You would never be able to handle that.
Number one, I actually make money when I do comedy, so I would actually require that we have our own rooms because I don't know. We're both not 20 fucking years old, and I don't want to bunk with Jeffrey Paul on a fucking weekend. It's not really my idea of making it in showbiz, is sharing your Holiday Inn fucking double queen room with you.
In a couple of weeks, right? Okay, not next week, but in 2 weeks, I'm in New Hampshire, and so we have a couple of shows there. And even though the money is great on one of them, hotel is not provided. So I mean, listen, it's fine. We can splurge for a hotel. We can get our own rooms, but why? I don't have to have my own room. I mean, it's an overnight.
I don't know, because you're an adult.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, Neil Page. Okay, I I don't. I could like say, I don't need my own room for just like I'm there about 24 hours in the room, not even. I'm going there. I'm doing the show. I'll get up in the morning, take a shower. We'll do the second show and then leave.
No, I'm good.
If
I'm going to Atlantic City with my friend Anthony, and I can get a free room and he can't, I will pay for half of his room so he can get his own room.
That way no one has to pay for anything.
No, I'm good. I don't need to do that. I've done my share of doing that shit, going to Montreal with my friends and cramming 4 freaking oversized dude. It's like 1,000 pounds of fucking man in a room. No, I'm good. Get your own room.
What, are you afraid to show them the type of porn you're going to watch?
Has nothing to do with the porn, because I'm gay. I know. No. You know what it is? I want to fucking go to sleep. I want to go to sleep at 8 o'clock. I want to go to sleep at 3 in the morning. I want to go to sleep at 3 in the morning. I don't want no goddamn people snoring in my goddamn room either. I want to go to fucking sleep when I want to sleep and not depending on anybody in that room. Fuck that. No. I'm done with that shit.
Listen, if you watch gay porn, I wouldn't care, Sean. You watch whatever you want.
I know. It's gay porn. I know. Low hanging fruit.
I swear to God, I was not going to go in the gay porn. I'm not a hack like that. Come on, you know me. That's not. I wouldn't go. It would have been too obvious. For the joke, it would have been too obvious.
I think we should wrap this up, Jeffrey, because I'm either going to have a stroke or I'm going to say something that I can't come back from. So,
where are you going to be, Sean?
Where am I going to be? Let's see. By the time this comes out, I got a nice one coming up at the end of. I got a good one. I'm headlining Brokerage Comedy Club in Belmore, New York, Thursday, April 10th. So that'll be a good one. A lot of my friends are on that show. It'll be a nice show. Some great comics on that. That's a good one. So let's bang that one out really good and get a couple of headline weekends out there as well.
Okay, that is going. And like I said, if by chance this comes out shortly, the 22nd, I am headlining the End of the Road Theater. Also, assuming this doesn't, June 7th, catch me and Gaspari Randazzo. I'll be opening for him over at the St. George Theater in Staten Island. Would love to see people. Tickets are actually selling a lot better than I thought, so that could be pretty good. People come out. That's 1,900 seats. Could use some help selling some tickets on that. It's a lot of good stuff happening. Guys, please continue to subscribe. Please like, comment, and we will catch you next time on Who's Your Band. Later.